It's Doug 24. 24 hours, 24 sessions, 24 speakers, 100% Microsoft Dynamics. It's unparalleled, unprecedented, and undeniable fun with your hosts Beau Schwieso and Bobby Small. Let's get into it with another episode of Doug 24.
We're excited to welcome up Kristen Hosman next. She's jumped on and she's ready to go, raring to go.
Let's go, Kristen.
I'm so ready, you guys. I took a 15-minute nap. I don't know how long you guys have been live, but I was like, it's been
just
a
started.
long day.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, Kristen, here it was 6 a.m. Was when we kicked off.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Actually,
So
it was
13
5:45 because we started 15 minutes prior. So it's already been a day. We got another one to go.
Before we get started, I got to know what's on the hat, or else I'm not going to remember to ask at the end.
That's our
superhero. Yeah, it's our
my
superhero
hat.
And Kristen was also holding down for it here locally too. We had a local Denver meeting going on. I was going to break away, but it actually turned out to be hard. I was thinking, I could have time to drive down, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this and leave Beau, mids, and we've had some tech issues, and so it's been good that I was here. So glad, sad to miss it, but sounds like Steve was getting me updated on the text. Sounds like it was a great event.
Yeah, we had a great event today. It was hosted locally at the RSM offices here in Denver, and good turnout, good sessions. I did have to leave early so that I wouldn't be late for this. So
yeah, Chris and I both missed out on a great dinner op with the crew that travels. So I'm sad to miss that too.
Yeah, that's all right though. We're here. I'm excited.
Yes, we're here. We're here with these folks.
Yes. I would love to know where everyone is from though. So go ahead and throw it in the chat where you're from. Should I just get started, Bobby?
Yeah, jump in. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. Yeah.
All right,
ready
let's
when you
do
are.
it. Let's do it. All right. Oh, Guatemala. Oh my gosh. Now I'm all excited about people. Oh, Steve, come on. I know you're in the center of the universe. All right. So I'm going to be talking about AI agents. And here's the deal, you guys. Like, if you're sticking around for this, kudos to you, because you must love me and don't really care about the topic, because we didn't get the session title out on the website. So it's being unveiled right
Kristen.
now. You all are learning about it right now. So super excited about this and to talk about this. Let me grab my stuff here. First off, a little bit about me, Kristen Hosman. I actually am a transplant to Colorado. I've been here for almost 10 years, born and raised in Minnesota. Former GP user / consultant, made the switch over to Business Central about 8-9 years ago. And 7-time Microsoft MVP focusing on Business Central. I'm a 2022 Doug superhero, Guardian Award winner. So that's pretty exciting. And a fun fact, I am one of 3, and it's never been given out again, Bobby. I think we need to bring this back for like a 5-year, like every 5 years, maybe we give out a Guardian Award. So just food for thought. But that's my, oh goodness, you guys, hold on. This is what you get for a 7 p.m. live at the Hosman house. Can you guys hear the dogs barking?
No, not at all.
Nope.
Okay, Great. Then it'll just annoy the crap out of me. All right. I do blog for fun. So if you're a Business Central user, consultant, ISV, anything of that sort, check out my personal blog there. There's a ton of fun information, a lot of functional, some development. In my free time, I pretend that I'm a developer. So that's always fun. All right, but let's dive in here and talk about what we're going to cover. So there's 4 different agents that I'm going to cover today. We're going to start with the sales order agent, move on to the payables agent, expense agent, and custom agent, and then talk a little bit about how much it is to use the agents as well, since that's pretty important to understand as well. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to be doing a little bit of like a slide, and then we're going to deep dive into a demo. So we are very much hands-on today. Like I said, the first thing here we're going to talk about is the sales order agent. This agent here is going to monitor incoming emails for sale inquiries. It's going to match the senders to the customers. So you're thinking like contacts on customer cards, things like that, checking inventory, creating quotes. It's also going to process those replies. So if you have someone manually doing that today, it can do all of that. All right, so let's dive into Business Central because, like I said, this is very hands-on. I want you to get a feel for what it's going to be like for you to implement or even test these agents in-house. To kind of lay the framework, we are going to be working in a sandbox environment that is on 28.3. So that is the latest and greatest that's out right now. 28.4 is expected August 2026 to come out. I do expect some enhancements to the agents to come out in 28.4, especially the expense agent, since that's the newest agent. I do know that Microsoft is working very tirelessly back in Denmark to get that up and running. So now that we understand we're on version 28.3, I'm just going to go ahead and close that tab. Here we are in my demo environment for my agents. So this is where we're going to live here today. And the first one that we're talking about is the sales order agent. I'm going to walk you through first the setup and just kind of talk to you about what all of this means. And then we'll go into testing it. So you can already kind of get a glimpse here of what it looks like. But first off, let's go ahead. I'm just going to click on this little icon here. Now, if you guys aren't seeing the icons, it could be that you don't have security or that maybe someone has disabled it. So you can just go into BC and you can search for Copilot and agent capabilities. Microsoft is always going to release these agents and make the status active. So if your company doesn't want you using the agents, then you just need to make sure to kind of keep an eye on this window after updates and make sure to come in here and then deactivate. And then Microsoft does really want to know why you're deactivating it. So you can go ahead and do that. But you should be able to see these in your environment. And then when you click on the SO for sales order, there is a little cogs wheel here. This is going to be our setup. So let's talk a little bit about setup for the sales order agent. When you come in here, it automatically is going to be deactivated. And we're not going to see some of this other information like the email and such. So what you want to do is you want to click active, go ahead and read everything, make sure you understand things. Coworkers can use this agent. Who do you want to have access for the agent? You can do that all right here and give them permission sets really, really quickly. What do you want the display name to be for the agent? So just standard BC is just sales order agent, initials SO. But if you want that to be something different, go ahead. That's great. And then this is the most important part right here is the monitor and process emails. So what I've done is I've gone into Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and you may not have access to this. You're going to have to talk to your global admin. But I set up emails for my agents. So I set up a sales agent, payables agent, and an expense agent. I did give them licenses because I want to be able to go and, monitor things. But you could get away with just setting up like inbox as well. Okay. The one other thing that is required on here is that anybody using Business Central and using that agent needs to have send. Let me go in here. Is it going to wake up? There we go. Is going to have send as permissions, right? So if I click on that, you can see that I have, right? So, if Bobby and Beau are in sales, and they are also going to have to be listed in here. Okay, so if you ever run into an issue where in your email outbox, and I'll show you that a little bit later, there will be an error message there that pertains to that. Okay, so let's go back to the sales order agent. What I've done here is I've set up the sales agent at mountevans.com as an email. Okay, so when I came in here, I just said next and I said use this as a mailbox. And then I went through the process, put in my account name and my email, and that's as easy as it was to set up the email. Okay, so I'm just selecting sales agent here because that's the email box that I want monitored. Now, this is newer functionality. What folder do you want monitored? So if your company has rules set up, things from this customer goes into this inbox, and you only want that inbox to be processing sales orders, then you can do that. But right now you can see that my email just has the standard folders, but if I had custom ones, they would also show up in here. Okay. All right, try it out. Well, before we try it out, there's a little bit more setup. So I'm going to skip over this for right now, and I'm just going to click this little arrow to go to the next card so that we can see the rest of the setup before we actually test it. Everything that you see here is going to be standard. This is coming from Microsoft. They do allow you to modify it, as you can see. So respond to inquiries. Do we want to review things in what order? First message in a conversation, things like that, right? So that's going to be over here on the right-hand side where we're seeing the agent, like how do we want that order to be? Okay. Messages from unregistered senders. Do we want to be able to review them? Things like that. Okay. So again, these are all just default. Do we want to search for requested items? Do we want to know if the items are available or not available, right? Things like that. Do we want the quotes to be automatically created into an order once the quote's been reviewed? So now we have a little bit more automation than just setting it up as a quote. Okay. Going to the right here a little bit more. So we also have the ability to analyze attachments. And that's really important because a majority of the time, your customers are going to be sending you purchase orders as a PDF, right? So this allows the agent to look at those attachments and kind of consume that into Business Central as well. So you can see that we have PDF, PNG, and JPEG. And it is important because later on in like the payables agent, right now that is only looking at PDFs. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right, the dogs want to join us. Otherwise, they scratch at the door. Okay, so mark email as read. So this one is really important. And what I want to show you here is that I love David. I love the popcorn eating. What I want to show you here is that if I go into my email for my sales agent, things are automatically being marked as on like red, right? So now we're not having these things sit out here on red. And they're also being tagged here automatically, saying that they were processed by the sales order agent. So super helpful there. I can see you kind of maybe setting up a rule to say, hey, if they're processed by the sales order agent, maybe automatically move them to a completed folder or something like that. But right now it's just kind of strictly no rules. This is out of the box, everything set up that I've done. Okay. Display an alert when the incoming email limit is reached. So right now I have it set to 100 emails a day. Okay. Why is this important? Maybe you're testing it out. Maybe you want to just keep your spend low, something like that. So you can actually tell the system what the daily limit is for emails. And then formatting outgoing messages, I do have turned on, include a custom signature. By default, this is actually turned off, But what I wanted to highlight here is that you can literally just copy paste your signature in here. It keeps the graphics, it keeps the links, everything in there. And what's going to happen is when I receive that email from my customer with their purchase order, my confirmation, my email back to them is going to have that signature in there. So that's pretty cool, right? All right, so let's go back to the first page right here. And what I want to show you here is how to try it out. Now, keep in mind that you want to be testing this stuff in a sandbox environment. If you test it in a sandbox environment, you are going to have the ability to test a certain number of documents for free. So Microsoft is not going to charge you if you are doing this in a sandbox environment. And it's just good to test in a sandbox anyway before you put it into production. That's a good best practice, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and try it out now. Create task for the agent. So what I'm doing here is I'm just mimicking an email coming in. Okay, so I have an email coming in from this contact at Mount Evans Consulting. We're going to go ahead and click that. The message text is going to say, I would like to purchase a desk. Maybe I know the item number. I don't know that I know the item number off the top of my head, but I'll grab one. Give me a moment. Let's go. I would like to purchase a, I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking at my other screen, you guys. I should know an item number. Here we go. We're gonna put this number in here. We're gonna say 1964, and I'll just say quantity 1. All right. So this is just an example of where you can just put text in here. You do also have the ability to test out those attachments as well. And I have plenty of that to show you here as I go. But what I'm going to do is just kick this off. You can see over here on the right-hand side now that the agent has all these tasks here listed. And these are things that have just come in through my email that haven't been processed yet. Okay. So it's refreshing. I didn't do anything there. It did that all on its own. If I say +5 here, we're going to see that very last one that I just had. I'll go ahead and click on that here. And you can see now, like, this is going to be like maybe that entry level CSR that is just reviewing sales orders coming in. You know, currently right now, they're probably doing it in an email and then they're keying it into Business Central or maybe another ERP that you're on. But what we're doing here is we're having the agent help us create that document. Okay, so as I page through here and say review, I now see here the incoming email. I now see the text. I can see who it came from. I can see any attachments. Okay. I also have here that it's kind of warning me, hey, like there are 2 contacts with the same email address. Okay. So that's just a nice little catch, but it doesn't mean you can't process it, right? It's nothing more than a notification. These agents are really like your co-pilot, right? Bobby and Beau here, right? They're together. They're a pair, right? So here we are, and that's exactly what this is. It's going to become your best friend, right? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click continue because as a CSR, I'm saying, yep, this is a valid customer. We know this is a valid item number. Okay, so I'm going to click continue. And now I'm going to go on to the next task, right? So like I'm not sitting here babysitting it. I'm probably going to start reviewing a lot more of these kind of in order. And then this is working in the background, right? Like if you sit and wait for it to do it, you're going to be waiting a couple minutes. So that's why I'm saying like just continue working. Okay. So we have a couple more here. We have another customer. This is a different customer. Okay. This one was an email that came through as well. No attachment. Looks good to me. I'm going to hit continue. Now I'm just kind of working my way down the list here. This is an attachment one. Okay. So this is telling me right here in the email details that there's an attachment. I can also scroll down here and see that there's an attachment. Okay. If I click on show attachments, I can see the physical attachment that came in. Okay, so this was just ChatGPT. What I did was I exported my customer list and my customer list and my item list to Excel, and I just said, hey, create me some random purchase orders, right? So that's what this is. And simple PDF, it does have dollar amounts in there. The previous examples did not have dollar amounts in there. Okay, so maybe some of your requirement testing would be like, how does the pricing work? Are you using special pricing, things like that? But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of continue some of these here and stop rambling so that we can see the magic of everything happening. Okay, so here's another attachment. We're just going to continue that. Let me just go down the list. You know, this is pretty exciting. I have faith in this process, right? So one of the settings was that we would create a sales order right from a sales quote if things are approved, right? But right now we're doing a sales quote first. But you can kind of get an idea here of how you can streamline this process. Okay. So let me get these out here. I'd ask for a joke, Beau. Do you got anything for me?
I was kind of typing it.
Oh,
Like this this whole day we've talked about like human in the loop and reviewing AI output. And then you're over here like YOLO yeeting all of the you're like review, submit, review, submit.
yep. Yep. But here's an exciting one. Like this looks quite different than what I've already encountered, right? Like
True, yeah.
this one is one of the emails going back. So this is me saying, okay, I've already processed that quote. This is me sending the confirmation back to the customer. And that's a task, right? So like that's why it's here because it needs to be sent. The reason this is really here is because I did not have myself set up to be able to send as using that email. So it got stuck. But instead of it getting stuck and it getting forgotten, it stayed in the task list so that your CSRs know, hey, this email didn't go out, right? So that's what this one's doing. I'll just kind of kick these off here and see what happens. Now, everything that I've done here is now completed in a sense, like step one is completed, but now it goes into a needs attention stage, right? So this is where the magic is happening because we've came in and we've consumed the email or we've kind of consumed the PDF per se, right? Now what we're doing is actually creating the purchase quote. Okay, so this one has a couple of errors on it. It's telling us that, well, we'll go back to it in a minute, but it's telling us we don't have enough quantity, right? So here's an example of where that CSR is getting notified right away of, hey, you don't have quantity to do this. Okay, and I'm just kind of clicking really fast because here's the deal. This is exactly what your users are going to do, believe it or not, once they get really comfortable. They're going to be clicking fast. Okay, so we definitely have some item availability things, and we can see that right here. It's saying item availability issue. I'm going to go ahead and click on this first one. All right. So this one right here is the outgoing email. And again, this is not going out because there's an issue with my email setup. Okay, and I'll just show you that so you know. So if I go into email outbox, this is where everything gets hung up when it tries to go out, right? And you can see the error message here is the user account, which was used to submit this request, does not have the right to send. Okay. That's exactly that message that I was talking to you about. Okay. And this is actually an older, this was like 3 hours ago when I was testing it out. Okay. All right, so let's kind of dive in here. Let's look, do we have anything exciting? Okay, we have an ongoing order here. This one's an order confirmation processing for submitted purchase orders is not available through the sales quote. Oh, this is interesting. So this right here is telling me that, hey, your document, okay, this is the document that was received. It's saying, hey, your document has the words purchase order on it. And you can't use a sales agent for that. Now, how many people on here, just kind of laugh, I guess, like how many people on here get sales orders coming in that say purchase order from the customer, right? Like that happens, right? So this is just a scenario where I'd probably send this to Microsoft since I do have kind of that direct line with them. But you can see like this would be the message that goes out. All right. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit further. I'm just going to hide the agent. I'm going to say, you know what? We went through everything. The agent's clean. All right. So I am logged in right now using Business Manager Role Center, but I want you to be mindful that there are role centers for sales agent, payables agent. There also is one for expense manager. Why it doesn't say expense agent, I don't know. Microsoft, I can't answer that, but just know that that is out there as well. But for my demo purposes today, we're really going to live under the business manager. Okay, so I'm going to go into my sales quotes. It says I have 22 here. All right. And if you know me and you've watched my demos, I'm always extending the window and always hiding the just to get more real estate. All right. So here we have some things that have come in. Now, I know these are things that have come in because of the date, right? Everything else here is just demo data from Microsoft. So let's go ahead and jump into the sales quote here and take a look at what it's doing. All right. We can see that this came through the sales order agent and that the agent is awaiting the review. The agent's awaiting the review because the agent wants to know, hey, is this good enough to send through as a sales order? Okay. It also could be, hey, like you have, item availability issues or, things like that, right? But here what I did is just clicked review. It says the customer provided an order reference of 12345 and it should be recorded on the quote. That is perfect. That's their customer PO number, right? We want that on the order. So if I come in here, I can see external document number is right here. We're starting to train the agent now, okay? So I'm telling the agent here that, you know what? That's perfect. Yes, that's exactly what I want, right? Or okay, in that situation, the thumbs up didn't mean yes. Hey, give Microsoft some feedback, right? But you can see that there's this little I here, right? So I'm going to say review next. That's good. The customer requested item number, blah, 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 quantity 5. I mean, we're kind of seeing here, like the people don't go away, right? But what really happens is the data entry in this case really went away. And we're just kind of reviewing it, right? As the system starts to learn, a lot of this stuff will get better and it will just know that everything is good. Okay. So we are good to go here. And we can see that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just say make order. Okay. And now when I click make order, it's going to close down anything else that the agent was doing. And it creates that order for us. Okay. All the rules apply here. Like if you require picking, if you require approvals, anything like that, all of that is still applicable at this point. Okay. So none of that goes away. It keeps every single rule and policy that you have intact as well. Hi, Molly. So what I'm doing as a CSR is I'm just coming in here and I'm reviewing stuff, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm making orders, right? Everything looks good. We are going to town. Hey, by the way, Beau, did you know that these little pesky notifications that you get when you post something that says, hey, do you want to open the new order? Do you know you can get rid of those?
And like personalizations, or how do you get rid of it?
You actually do it under the My Notifications. So if you guys are sick of seeing these types of notifications, hey, you posted a purchase invoice. Do you want to open the posted purchase invoice? No, I don't. I don't want to open it, right? Like, so go into the My Notifications window and just turn those off. Okay. So we get blessed today because, again, I'm just using standard BC. Nothing is personalized in here or anything like that. Okay. So that sales order agent, how cool was that? I mean, that was literally beginning to end, set up, showed you how to test it. We got things in as a sales order. Is that pretty cool? I can just see everyone clapping. All right, awesome. Okay. What are we talking about next? Next, we're going to talk about the payables agent. I have a love-hate relationship with the payables agent, and here's why. All right. In my past life, when I was an ND, my very first job was accounts payable clerk. Back when I was working on GP, right? But I really do have a love for AP, believe it or not. It's kind of a geeky kind of love because I just love entering things in, and I feel like I'm super fast at it. And Business Central also gives you really cool features like reoccurring purchase lines that you can use to like streamline the process and make it super fast. So personally, I just have a hard time adapting to this one, but that's just me, right? I'm still going to show it to you because I still think it's cool, right? So let's get into this one. So the PA, payables agent, we're going to start with this little settings, little setup cogwheel. Kind of looks a little bit familiar, but what are we noticing here right away? Like, what is different right away that we did not see on the sales order agent? This cost section, this was not there. Okay.
I was going to say payables, but yeah, cost also. Yeah.
Like, it's interesting that this is here, and this goes back to like the beginning of my session when I said I was on version 28.3. Microsoft will probably have some updates to the agents in 28.4, but this is kind of newer, right? Where it's telling us the credits that have been consumed. I can only imagine, I have no idea, no insider trading here, but just kind of reading between the lines, I can only imagine that Microsoft is going to make it easier for you to know what your spend is, how much you've consumed. Okay. So I guess we'll see if that's correct in the coming future. But okay, so the payables agent, again, monitoring an email. Now, I did say that I have 3 separate emails set up, right? So if you're new to the show here, I actually have the expense agent, payables agent, and sales agent. They all have a separate email. That is by design. You do not want your agents all sharing the same email. They're going to get confused. They're not going to know what is happening. And it's not going to work. We saw that a couple minutes ago with the sales order agent trying to think that it was a purchase order, right? So not going to happen. But what this is doing is it's monitoring vendor invoices. I do believe that it will only consume PDF documents. Maybe we'll find out here as I click to the next card. Let's go to the next card. And I am correct. So this one here only will consume PDF. Again, if one agent does it one way, I would assume that this would be an enhancement where it would possibly, create, a JPEG. I mean, how many people take photos of invoices and they can just email it off, right? So I would envision that is coming, hopefully soon. The email account here, again, just set it to the payables agent. The folder, this is new for the payables agent, by the way, like being able to select what folder you want it to look at. That's pretty new. So if you're already using the payables agent or the sales agent, you should probably like review the setup every now and then and just see like, hey, is there any new functionality that would be cool to use, right? We also have the ability to create sample invoices. I demoed that earlier, so I won't do that again. And then the review email and things like that. So this one's actually pretty straightforward. There's not as much to review on here and setup as there was for the sales order agent. The only thing I would attribute that to is that it's probably different teams within Microsoft building these agents. So it's not the same person building and designing every agent. Actually, I happen to know that's true because when I get to the expense agent, I'll tell you what I think about it. And that rings true. Okay. So the payables agent is here. I already have things in here. What I've done kind of leading up to this little showcase is I just forwarded a ton of invoices to the payables agent. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for the latest and greatest one here because hopefully this is today's. And again, I'm just clicking in, I'm just reviewing. We can already see like the header side is different than the header area of the incoming sales order agent. So that's what I mean by we're now seeing that there's different teams here at play at Microsoft. And if you're like me, you're very OCD. So I sit here and I have to wonder like why they're not more similar, but that's just me kind of picking out the differences, right? But here we don't have that attachments area at the bottom, but we have a view PDF at the top. Okay. And it does display a little bit different than it did on the sales order agent as well. And we can see we have a receipt. This is actually a valid invoice, you guys, that I sent in here. So this is good to go. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Now, what this does is instead of creating like a purchase quote, like the sales order or the sales agent does a sales quote, this actually does what's called a purchase invoice draft. Like it's creating a draft invoice, which is a step before a purchase invoice. Okay, so we're kind of building up here as well. All right, that task is in process. We're going to let that run for a minute here. And then we're going to see that it's that it's refreshing, right? So I'm not doing anything. I'm not refreshing my screen or anything. It's just kind of like watching paint dry. We're just kind of seeing it happen in real time. Okay. If I click out, I can definitely keep going and looking at these other things here. But what we're going to do here is we can see this is still running. I'm a little to continue clicking on some of these because these are like old demos and some of it actually is invoices that I don't want on a recording. So we will not be clicking around and continue to do stuff. But let's see if this one here hurries up and gets us to that draft invoice. All right, purchase invoice draft. No, we can't go that way. I feel like I knew that. All right, let's click here, go this way. Invoices created. All right, so here we'll just kind of look at this while this is going. If you click on these agents, it does give you a little bit of information here, right? So we can see that we received 15 emails. Microsoft estimates that we've saved 45 minutes. I have no idea how they calculate that. Okay. Maybe somewhere along the way, it'd be an interesting metric, right? To know how they're calculating it. But that's there. All right, let's see if this is done. All right, here's our invoice. Okay, so now it's telling us that the vendor cannot be identified. And that's right, because I don't have cake.com set up as a vendor, right? So now, you think of like your AP clerk person, they're going to come in here, they're going to select the vendor that it needs to be assigned to or create a vendor, right? If they don't exist, right? In this case, it would kind of be an interesting test actually to see if the vendor had the name to field populated with cake.com, if it would pull it. It probably would. Okay. But here's what it's doing now is it's trying to determine the GL account. All right. So that's why we have a little I and it's red and it looks a little bit different, right? Now in the sales order, we saw an I, but it was like hollow. It's kind of actually hard to see, right? This one's more prominent. I can click in here. I can see that it's trying to go to freight, fees for goods. listen, if it's wrong, fix it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this demo fixing things. This probably really honestly should have gone to like a dues and subscriptions. It did, however, catch it with a deferral code. So if you're using deferrals for prepaids and you're paying for things, you know, a year at a time and you want that amortization done automatically, that's where that deferral code comes in. Okay, so it does that prepaid amortization for you automatically, which is one of my favorite features of Business Central as well. Okay, so we got that. Again, this is just a draft. So we can see up here, purchase document draft. Okay, I'm going to click continue. What this is going to do is it's going to turn it around and it's going to create an invoice. So in a little bit here, we're going to see this number 7 on this queue turn to a number 8 because now this will be done processing. We're not going to wait for the paint to dry on that one. We're going to go on to my favorite agent of all times, expense agent. I know, Beau, I'm with you, man. I see it. You're so excited. Okay.
Yes. We've been waiting for this.
And here's the deal. Like, I don't really understand why this is my favorite agent other than I think the design and the user interface of it is so beautifully done. And that's what I'll say about that. Okay, so let's dive in. All right, let's go back to BC. And let me close this agent. And I'm going to do a time check. Okay, I'm okay on time. Okay, so this one's a little bit finicky, I guess, when it comes to setup. And I'll kind of tell you my thoughts. I'm not afraid to tell you my thoughts because I've already shared these thoughts with Microsoft. So I can't tell you what they said about them, but I can tell you what I think. And we can just do that, right? So again, you're going to open it up. It's not active. It is using an email address here. Okay. But here's where it gets really interesting. Enable access via web. What? Go to expense app? Ooh, this sounds so exciting, right? Like this just sounds really, really cool. All right. I'm not going to click on anything yet. I'm just going to talk through the setup. Submit expenses. We have 9 registered users that can submit expenses. Okay. Here's the beautiful part. As of today, this demo, employees that need to submit expenses do not have to have a paid Business Central license. That means they don't have to have a team member license to submit expenses. But this is where Microsoft money because it is a paid service. So I didn't mention that before, and I'll kind of show you at the end, but like the expense agent, the sales agent, and the payables agent are all paid agents, right? So you're paying for Microsoft to do this work for you, or for this agent, this AI. I don't know what we'll call him. We should give him a nickname, Beau, one of these days. But he's doing the work for us. Okay. So all I've done here is I've set up these expense users, and it ties back to the employee card. So as long as you're setting up the employee card first, then you set up this window, tell it the email. Here's one of the things I told Microsoft. I said, look, I'm not always going to send my receipts from my work email. Sometimes I want to forward them from my Gmail. Right now, you can't do that. You can only have one email associated with people. So it's a little bit, you take your Gmail, you forward it to your work email, and then you forward it on, right? Hopefully that changes, right? And maybe they allow more than one. Okay, but for now, one. And you saw in there too, you can have multiple approvers, right? So if Bobby submits something, I'm the approver. If Beau submits something, Bobby's the approver. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Default approvers. Again, I just have one approver in here, so not much exciting going on there. Let's go to card. Use accounting defaults. Now there is quite a bit of setup here. If I just start clicking into here, we can see that Microsoft has already baked in number series for this module, which is amazing. You just have to update them or change them if you want them changed. Okay. And then payment methods. So this is pretty cool. Like, are they using a company credit card? Are they using a personal credit card where they need to get reimbursed? Like, this is where that is set up. Okay. Um, View expense posting groups. Here is where you're telling the system, hey, if it's entertainment, we want it to go here, entertainment expense. If it's a meal, we want it to go here. So this is your posting group setup for the expense module. Okay, so pretty cool actually, I think. Like, hopefully pretty straightforward so far. You just kind of start top to bottom. Now we have expense categories as well. If you want to be able to kind of break things down without using another dimension per se, that could be exciting, right? Is it refundable? Meaning, like, if they use their personal credit card, you would refund them. You know, that's kind of a rule there. Okay. Use management defaults. Apply default location-based policies. I haven't really honestly played with this too much, but reading into it, what I understand is that if your users, like, let's say Bobby and Beau go to DynamicsCon next year, and their boss is like, you know what? You only get like $100 a day for food, and if you go over it, like, tough titty, you're gonna pay for it, right? That's where these rules come into play. Like, you can set up mins and maxes and rules around it, right? Again, I haven't really played with it, so I can't really talk too much about it, but you can see here that we go into a little bit more about rules. We go into corruption things. I don't know what any of this means, to tell you the truth, but this is why you install it in the sandbox first and you test. Okay.
$100 a day, Kristen, is 5 Pikachus, by the way. So that's plenty.
I wonder when Pikachu was going to come up. I was waiting.
It's like, if you know, you know, right? Oh, now I'm going to find that photo and I'm going to have to post it online. At least you're wearing like a Pikachu color sweatshirt there, I see.
Yeah.
But you can see, I'm not going to go into everything for sake of time here, but you can see you have a lot of things. You can notify users about approvals. You can set up mileage, track project tracking. You guys, I'm going to tell you something. This project tracking is brand new. And I can tell you that because this was something that not just me, but other Microsoft MVPs, we were actually with Microsoft back in June in Denmark, and this is one of the feedbacks we gave. And I just updated to 28.3 right before this demo. This is brand new. This is super exciting. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not going to turn it on because I don't want to break anything with my demo, but that's super exciting. We also have per diem. So from an expense management standpoint, like, we have everything we need. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel. And I have a ton of stuff in here already mocked up as well. So I can see here that we have 20 emails processed, 13 expenses created, 9 reports created, things like that, right? What's really exciting about this is that this task list over here, it's not getting muddied so much with like everything coming in and flowing through, because what's happening is that everything is going through this web app because I have it activated. How beautiful is this, you guys? Like, come on. This just looks great, right? We can see that I'm logged in as me. This is the company I'm working, you know, that BC company that I'm in. I have a draft expense report out here. I can go ahead and review that. In this situation, I can edit things if something didn't come in correctly. Like the agent is reading this. OCR is reading this. I promise you, I did not populate any of this before our call. This is all generated using this agent. Okay. But I have the ability to come in here and change it. I have the ability to say, you know what? These are actually duplicated. How do I know that? One of them's an invoice and then one of them's a receipt, but the system doesn't know. The system just saw 2 transactions and it's supposed to be like a expense report, right? So I'll go ahead and delete one just to show you, like, you can delete it. That's pretty cool, right? Once I click submit here, this is going to go to my manager for approval. Okay, so this might take a little bit because, well, it actually didn't take that long at all. I literally just refreshed and it's already here. So that agent is now working overtime. That was pretty quick, right? So I can see I've submitted what I've approved for my approval. So remember, I'm the default approver in this scenario. So I can approve it. I can send it back. I can click done if I'm not ready to do anything. I'll go ahead and approve it. All right. The really cool thing about this portal as well is that as an end user, or not even as an end user, as an employee, I can drag and drop receipts right here, and it will start to create draft expenses for me, right? So I can just drag and drop. I don't have to necessarily email it. Okay. Yes, I love that. Do you like how I approve my own expenses? I am the boss, right? But this is so exciting. And I think what really, really gets me excited about this is that this is something I would use like in my business today, right? This is exactly what I would need. It covers all the requirements that I need. For the one thing I will say is that dimensions right now aren't supported right here. I do to change. If you're using like a global 1, global 2, I do expect that to be available in a future release. Not 100% sure, just my speculation. Okay. So let's go back to BC. So again, like things aren't landing in this expense agent taskbar, right? But what's really cool is if I come in here and let's just change over from business manager to expense manager. Now, keep in mind, you don't really need to toggle back and forth, but Microsoft has done a really good job at putting everything at your fingertips on this dashboard that you may need. I do expect them to probably build this out a little bit more to make it, just more exciting. But right now, this is what we get. All right, so we have some expenses. These here are things that are open, not approved yet. These are things that are approved, not posted. Okay. If I go into expense report, for example, here's the one we just did. This is that cake.com one, right? And the reason it came in as a report is because when I that email to the expense email, it had the 2 receipts in there. So it automatically thought it needed to be a report instead of like separate, which is okay. That's a cool feature, right? Not mad about that. But we can see it's approved. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And then now we can see in here the attachment, everything is here. Okay. Pretty cool. And then you're going to post it. Okay. Do we want to see the posted expense report? I don't know, Beau. Do we want to see it? No, probably not.
No, disable it. Disable it.
Disable it. Let's go into my notifications, you guys. This is the beauty about watching one of my sessions, you guys, is that you're always going to get bonus tips. Like, this is not a tips and tricks session by any means, but you're just going to get extra. All right. I'm just going to type in the word expense to kind of see what it hits on. But it's kind of like you kind of gotta, okay, we don't like that one. I wonder what it's going to be under. Oh, you put me on the spot. I don't know which one it is. I'd have to read through here. We don't got time for that. All right. We don't got time for that. I'm going to go, actually, let me hang out here. I'm not going to go back to business manager. The last one that I want to talk about is the ability to create your own agent. This is brand new, you guys. This is like hot off the press. So hot off the press that I actually had to train myself how to do it right before we got on the call. But the good news is I did it in about 2 minutes. So you can now see like how quickly it happened. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, hey, I want a new agent. Microsoft does have this sales validation one here if you want to play around with it, but we're going to create it from scratch. Why? Because we're living on the outside. All right. We're going to call this agent. Beau is cool, right? We like that. He likes, I don't know. How do you spell Pikachu? I don't know. Okay. Speaking of Pikachu, my son just got
The
a
New
card
Orleans version.
graded a 10. I don't know if that's cool, but he was pretty excited about it. Agent's visibility. Okay. Where do we want this agent to be visible? During our user group today, Bobby, someone asked, like, how do we hide the agents to see them, things like that. We haven't really seen this in any of the other agents yet, but if you create one from scratch, you can actually tell the system where you want the agent to be seen. So I'm just going to say expense manager because I'm under that role center and I don't want to lose it. Permissions. I'm just going to say assign my permissions. Okay. Like, I don't know exactly what all I'm doing because, again, I did this self-taught right before this call, right? Like, but you can see how quick this is happening, right? Agent behavior. What do I want to happen? I want to know vendor ledger entries. I don't know. Maybe I could just say vendor ledger entries. I don't know. You got to play with it, right? The agent models. Okay. What do you want to use? I'm just going to go with 5.3 because I don't know any different, right?
Sure.
Now we're going to test the agent. All right. Okay. I have a permissions error. I did not get this on my first one. Let me go in here real fast and just add myself to it because I'm assuming that I missed that. No. Okay. We'll just go to the one I baked up. I literally did the same thing, you guys, that I did. Oh, now I'm in like this. Am I in like a loop?
Yeah.
Okay,
Kristen,
we're just going to
speaking of
refresh.
baked up, I think we have to bake up this conversation into a nice close. So
Let me just show you it real fast.
okay.
You
Okay.
talk, but I'm going
A
to
little
show
bit
it.
of icing.
All right. We're going to come in here. I have an agent already, and I've already asked it. Like, I built it the
A
same
fully
exact
baked
way.
one. Yeah.
What I did is I asked it to tell me the totals paid for all vendors. Boom, done. I literally did that in less than 2 minutes.
You crushed that. It's like, yeah, under pressure.
The
As
only thing
Beau
I
and
can
Bobby were
think
staring you
of,
down to finish up, you were just like, nope, I'm powering through this.
yeah.
We
The
got this
only thing
custom
I can
agent
think
going.
of though is that it's because I'm under the expense manager. If I was probably under the business manager, maybe there's something there. I don't know. You'd have to test
Yeah.
it.
It's got to be
But
security driven.
there we go. How cool is that?
That was awesome.
It was awesome. Powerhouse, perfect, I think a perfect like energy uplift for Beau and I at the end of this,
Yeah.
regular day.
I'll put a link to the pricing in there, but take a screenshot here, folks, if you're interested in using the agent. Like, these are just things to remember here.
We can share your
As
PowerPoint
well.
later on too. I hope we can grab that from you.
Oh, you got it. I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
Kristen, I've never actually seen you present because we're always presenting at the same exact time.
Yeah.
You're a rock star. Congratulations
you.
on all of that.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we got to let you go. We got to prepare for Sean to join. He's already sharing video, and we've got a very impromptu ad read to do.
Okay.
That's right. That's the fun part of this presentation. We've taken on the task of not only hosting but also shilling for the few of our sponsors that have been so lovely to sponsor gifts for the speakers. So that's benefiting the speakers this year. We had a little overhead, but wanted to provide something back to the folks that are spending their time with us, giving back to y'all. And so we are super excited to have folks like we had Endeavor 4 and DoApp and a couple others there that we'll get to. But right now, Beau, I just want to say, if you're running Dynamics 365, you probably already know how this goes. You've got one part of the system doing this thing, another part doing this thing, and another part doing this thing. And guess what? The ERP is just trying to keep up. It's just trying to stay in front of everything. And one handoff to the other, there's lots of places for this thing to break. Blue Star PLM is taking a different approach to it, and they've built their PLM system right inside of Dynamics 365. So it's not a separate system, so you don't have these problems.
It's not another interface to maintain. Product data, bombs, engineering changes, compliance, all live in the same platform your operations and finance teams already use every day.
It's one source of truth.
Yeah, one source of truth, no context switching. So engineering and production finally work from one source of truth. Change orders that used to take weeks can drop to days, sometimes hours. Bill of material errors go completely down.
And I like this. If you're with us, and some of you will be, but we're gonna be onboarding a bunch of new people from a different time zone out in EMEA. Blue Star is going to be with us to talk live for a couple of minutes more about what they do. They're going to tell us what PLM stands for. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but they're going to let us know. And you can visit them at bluestarplm.com to find more details, or you can check them out with us later on. But now, right on time, at 8 o'clock,